Let's take a look at how I prep and test paint on spoons to make sure there are no bubbles and flaking. I'll also share how I personally mix and choose colors for my Gunpla in this HG Psycho Gundam Mk-II build and paint vlog. Newtype is a fast and reliable source of Gunpla supplies in the US. For my fellow Canadians, our Gamma Hobby offers the largest stock of kits, tools, and paints. Let's start off by mixing the main colors for this kit, and then I'll talk all about plans and stuff like that later. Here are my paints. I might not be using all of them, but some of them are new purchases, these two, and I just want to see how they look like out of bottle. Here are my good old labels. Bottles, these I bought off of Amazon. You can check them out on my Amazon storefront. There's really pros and cons to bottles like this. The cap is a part of the lid, which means you'll never lose the cap, but also it dribbles out in a kind of weird way. But I did buy these just because they were the cheapest and came in the largest amount that I could find in Canada. But the really important thing about these bottles is finding bottles that are a hard plastic. A lot of bottles that look like this, they actually come in the soft, flimsy plastic, and you don't want to use that for lacquer paint. I will be mixing my Odankan paints with the Odankan thinner and anything else with the Gaia Brushmaster. I use these spoons, which I bought from Dollarama in Canada. After I test paint with spoons, I keep them in a little container. I write the paint, or if it's mixed, the ratio. Normally you would think like painting on spoons is really easy, but I guess nothing in painting Gunpla is necessarily always as straightforward as you think, because this actually came up a lot on my Patreon Discord, where patrons will ask about testing on spoons. Either there's like bubbles on their spoons or spots, or the paint can even flake off. Spoons often have a lot of some kind of oily substance on it. I don't know if it's also called mold release. I have painted a lot of spoons. If I paint on the bare plastic without doing any kind of prep work, what often happens is overnight, if you bend the spoon, you can see already the paint is coming off. So the spoons are very bendy and it doesn't retain the paint as well if I don't do any prep work. And I even really just like touch the spoon slightly, the paint can crack and peel off. But because I have done prep work, you will see that mostly it is smooth, except where I didn't sand totally down to the edge, because I don't need to, right? I just need to basically see how the color looks like. There will be this type of bubbling, which is that oily substance. So what this means is that I do sand and prime my spoons before painting. I label all the spoons. These are all the paints I'm gonna test. I just tapped my spoon because I've got my like an external monitor. Oh my god, how ridiculous is that? I just give it a really rough sand with a 600 sponge. It's a pretty old 600. Doesn't really matter that much what you use. I'm not trying to get a smooth surface here. I'm really just trying to get off the surface level, which has that oily substance, and you will be able to see that it's all gone when the spoon is totally matte. And I can see that this part here is still glossy, which is why you will very likely get some bubbling here. I mean, I would never ever do this, but I'm just showing you like what you would do if that really bothers you. And the reason why people practice on spoons is it gives you a really nice, smooth, circular, wide surface to really see the color well on. You can also test on junk parts. You will be able to see the difference between a sanded spoon and an unsanded spoon, which is very glossy. I've sanded all my labeled spoons and a bunch of blank ones as well. I do prime all of my spoons twice to make sure the paint doesn't flake off. It really depends on the spoon and paint. Some spoons are less oily, some paints adhere better, but if you like to keep your spoons for future reference, it's safer to prime.
Get a bunch of extra blanks.
The colors also get 2 to 3 layers, depending on how thin the paint is. I just use as many layers as it takes to bring out the true color. Before we continue, haul time! Let's unbox a recent order I got from my sponsor, our Gamma Hobby, where I get my kids' tools and paints. So usually I order my own stuff from Argama Hobby, but recently the owner said he'd send me a few extra things. I know what one of the things in here is. He sent me a kit and the rest are mostly like Gaia stuff. He didn't tell me exactly what he was sending me, so this is gonna be a bit of a surprise. Wow, always so nicely packed. Ooh, Gaia tool wash. This is really great to have always hobby airbrush cleaner, so you don't have to worry about possibly melting the O-rings on your airbrush. Brushmaster thinner. This is the thinner that I'm using at the moment. It says this is a self-leveling thinner with retarder to prevent uneven finishes such as orange peel. Like I've mentioned already a bunch before, I do only use leveling thinner for all of my paints. Oh my gosh, what is this? I don't recognize this. Oh, retarder max. Okay. A brush clean and rinse. This is a water-soluble solution used for cleaning paintbrushes. Do not use with an airbrush. Please rinse paintbrushes with water after use. Nice. So I can use these when I ever get to hand painting my Gundam artifacts. Retarder max. You can use this to mix into regular thinner to make it a retarder or leveling thinner. If you can't get your hands on leveling thinner because they can sell out really fast, this is the kit. This is so big. Oh my gosh, this cover looks so good. What the heck? Bandai is always so good at making box art to like con you into buying kits, and the kits never look anything like the art box. This art box looks so freaking amazing. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, but in real life it looks so good. I actually haven't tried building any of the MGSDs yet. I know they're great and everyone has already tried building them except for me. But I mean, there's just like so many kits to do, and like running a Gunpla channel, it takes me a really long time to edit videos, so I don't actually get to build and paint that many kits.
Oh my goodness, let's take a look.
I remember Arthur said he'd send me the decals as well. Thank you so much. The V-fit is so huge. Wow. Okay, the wings are like really detailed. Gosh, these would look really good shaded. Oh, wow. Okay, metallic. They're not coated, but the silver on this actually looks really good. Man, these feathers look really amazing. Look at these clear blue parts. Nice. And these do come with stickers. And the manual. They really put a lot of effort into these, the MGSD line. This is a pretty darn cool pose. Atmospheric entry mode. Dang. What is the coolest pose? This one is like the regal pose, but this is the really cool pose here, right? Pretty amazing for an SD kit, really. Oh, it's so cool, but it's like so cute at the same time. And here was the package, and thank you so much again to Argama Hobby for your support. I want to just quickly talk about how I kind of think about colors and mix and stuff like that. These are the 3 main colors. I don't need to replicate these exactly, even though I am going for original colors, because while I really love this kind of bluish purple, I'm not super in love with this color. It feels a little dull and lackluster and boring. I'm open to some kind of variation of this color, but I did really want to recreate this one. I might like to use a darker inner frame. That would also give the kit overall a kind of darker color, and I'm not too sure it would go super well with the purple, so I was also open-minded about the inner frame. So that was kind of my thought process going into looking at these colors. I also didn't want to buy any new colors. So these are all colors that I already have that are not thinned yet. Some of the colors I just thinned it, especially this one, just because I wanted to see how it looked like, or maybe I might use it to mix in something, even a few drops. After seeing the colors on the spoons, I thought that this Gaia purple could be a really good main color. It kind of had more of that retro look than this one, which is the Odenkan purple, which I thought also would be like a really good color if I was doing more of like a new agey look, but this one definitely has more of a kind of older anime retro vibe. So I was gonna go with this one just out of the bottle. And then I had to think about this color. This looks to me kind of like a purplish, bluish, grayish color. And mind you, I'm not a professional artist. I kind of just take my best educated guess when I mix colors. I think that as like a very stereotypical female, I was very into colors like makeup. I used to mix and dye my own hair. I did nail art, and we think about colors when we dress or clothing and stuff. So I don't know, it's all just kind of like a mishmash of all of that I feel like has kind of developed my eye for color. I really just eyeball things. When I looked at this color, this could be a good representation of this color with a little bit of a bluish gray, like a lighter bluish gray mixed into it. By the way, I've never used the Nazca line and I was really excited to try them out. These colors look so freaking beautiful and I really wanted to see if I could make use of them in some way. To me, it looked like this plus this could mix well into being this color, and this was the result, which I thought was a pretty good representation of this color. I'm not looking for exact, but actually I ended up really loving this color. This is the kind of purple that I like. And I thought definitely I'd like to use that as a secondary purple, 1-to-1 ratio of these two colors. Then I put it up next to the other purple that I was gonna use. I just felt like they didn't really look that good together. This kind of retro, dull-ish looking color didn't really seem to go so well with this kind of softer, more vibrant, subtle purple. I'm sure if you're a professional artist, you could explain better than me. So I thought that maybe I would mix these two and see how it looks, because I felt like I needed something a little deeper and more vibrant to match this. I mixed these two colors and I got this. I think that it definitely is a little bit more like deeper and more vibrant. This was also a 1-to-1 ratio, and it just happened to work out. I don't always do a 1-to-1 ratio, mind you, but this is a good starting point if you think that a medium between two colors that you're thinking about could be a good fit. So then I put this spoon up to my secondary purple, and I thought they looked a lot better together. And now I had to decide my inner frame. I was wondering if I couldn't use the joint gray for this color, which is just such a beautiful color. It's also got a bit of purple in it. When I was thinning the paint, the colors were kind of separated. The first part of it was a gray color and the second part of it had a lot of purple tint. When I put the three colors together, I thought that there was too much purple in this to be the inner frame color. So I pulled out two of my neutral grays, which are these two colors. If we go with the darker one, it already brightened up the kit a lot instead of using this as an inner frame color. There's really kind of a lack of contrast, whereas if you have this neutral gray, it actually makes the purples stand out a lot more. And a lot of the times, this kind of contrast between colors can really make each individual color kind of stand out more. But I felt like it looked a little bit dark. I tried to use the lighter color. This looked a little bit too bright as well. Inner frames should have a little bit more weight to it, and the lighter the color, the less weight the inner frame has. So I decided to mix these two colors, and that gave me this color, which you really won't be able to see a huge difference probably on camera, but I can. And that difference is important to me. And now that I've decided my main colors, I'm gonna start mixing my accent and detail colors. Before I continue, please remember this is a build vlog, not a technical tutorial. I'm just sharing with you my real process, not telling you what to do or saying my way is the right way. It's actually not. I use a very not by the book way to mix my paints because I find it more efficient and gives me the results I need. All the spoons you saw me test paint, I did by dropping the paint directly into my airbrush cup and back flushing to mix the paint. Usually that's around 10 drops of paint in total. If I'm mixing 2 colors, 1:1 ratio, I'll pour 5 drops of paint from each color. I count the drops and record the ratio on my spoons. I don't measure anything. I can tell you the one downside to my method, which is I may not be able to recreate or adjust my colors exactly. You may also think there is another downside, which is back flushing to mix my paints can clog my airbrush, but it never does because I clean my airbrush between every spoon I paint. I have to. There's not enough buildup for clogging. You may also think my paints won't mix evenly in the airbrush, which is true to a very small extent. However, because I paint at least 2 layers on the spoon, whatever color is in that cup gets on the spoon. I mean, if I didn't tell you, did the spoons you just saw look uneven? And even if they do, who cares? They're just test spoons. Their purpose is for me to see the color out of the bottle. I'm out of time here, so I'll continue this discussion near the end of the video. Here were the yellows that I tested, and the yellow was very important to me because I don't like the color yellow. So if it looks ugly, it really bothers me. Usually I don't like to use a true yellow. Again, I don't like the color yellow, so I very often mix like orange in there. But for this kit, an orangey color wouldn't really go very well with the purple. Verging more on yellow would look better, and I know purple and yellow are opposite colors. So what I finally ended up with was this color, Finisher's Foundation, topped with Nazca Mandarin Orange. Then mixed 5 parts Odenkan Deep Yellow and 2 parts Primary Yellow, and I thought this really brought the yellow back into what is kind of like a darkish orangey yellow because I had used this, and I used this Mandarin Orange just to function as an underlying color to really make the yellow pop. And I know there's yellow surfacer, but I don't really feel like buying a bottle of yellow surfacer. Very often when I try to make the yellow pop, I just use whatever paint color I have underneath. Oh, that was the yellow. The red was a lot less complicated. I ended up choosing these 2 reds from what I have, and I felt like this red was a little bit too bright and vibrant. This one is a really kind of retro-y color, but a little too orange. So I mixed the 2 evenly, 1:1 ratio, and I got this color, which really has that kind of retro red vibe and really gives the kit that kind of like older look. And if you want to see what I mean, I've got some other reds like these, but these would look really good as like a Sazabi red, but not really as much to pair with a purple. And it doesn't really have that kind of retro-y vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like this red really has that kind of old anime look. And so these are my final colors, and that's how I kind of go through the process of finding a custom color. I don't do this for every kit. Like for example, my RGRX78, I went really simple and the paints were mostly out of bottle because that was like a really casual build. But for this kit, I did want to spend a little bit more time on the color, and I felt like the colors themselves are really important because the kit itself is so simple and there's not a lot of detail. Like for the RGRX78, honestly, whatever color you paint it with, it's gonna look good because it's such like a detailed, intricate kit. But for this one, because there's not that much detail, I felt like the color themselves were gonna play a really important role in like the overall look of the kit. So there are kind of all these different things, I guess, that I kind of unconsciously think about, honestly. I think that I just realized that as I'm talking to the camera, which is really interesting because I know that being able to teach something is like the highest level of learning, and I'm really learning a lot myself by kind of like explaining and filming these videos as well. So really happy with these colors, and we're gonna start painting. As I clip and paint my inner frame, let me get back to how I mix paints. I know what the standard way is. You should pour the paint into a little tray, jar, or bottle, use a dropper or weight to measure your ratio, mix with a little tool, and pour that paint into the airbrush cup, and then clean or change out your container and tools. I've made a very conscious decision that I don't want to do that. The reason is because I want to find the fastest and most efficient way to mix, test, and choose my paints. I don't want any extra trays, droppers, or mixing tools to clean. Cleaning my airbrush between every spoon is enough for me. I also don't think test spoons are that important. As for the possibility of not being able to recreate my colors, I usually just make sure I always have more than enough. If you think that's a waste of paint, it's not. Who knows, I may always be able to use that color or mix it into something else. I have been painting Gunpla for a very long time. There are some things that are very important to me, like a very clean finish, color separation, or changing out parts for something that looks better. To achieve those results, I find places to save my time and energy so that I can focus on what's important to me. I think that when you first start off, it's really great to follow the rules and do things by the book and find what does and doesn't work for you. To be honest, I don't usually share this part of my build process because I'm afraid talking about mixing and choosing colors might be a bit boring, and also because I don't have a very standard or even technical method for it. However, my goal for this kit is to just share my real process in a vlog style rather than always making tutorials, which can get a bit exhausting. I also wanted to produce videos more frequently, which means they might be a bit more casual. Otherwise, I only end up uploading one video a month when I try to make very polished and technical tutorials. So please consider this video as me just really sharing what goes on in my head, because I've actually been asked a lot in the past how I choose colors. In the next video, I'll be getting ready to paint up the inner frame of this kit, sharing how I get really smooth airbrush results and easy color separation with some enamel hand painting. Did you know that 65% of viewers are not subscribed? If you enjoy my content, the easiest way for you to support this channel is to become a subscriber. Of course, also a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters who receive special perks like real-time extended versions of my work in progress videos, access to my private Discord server, and the Shading Group Challenge, which is still open for registration. Happy building, everyone. Hey everyone.
Hello everyone.
Are we going to your favorite cafe?
Yeah, it's very favorite cafe.
You go there every day all the time?
Yeah, enjoy 2 hours and 1 hour.
Oh.
Yeah, and back to home. Yeah.
Why do you like it so much?
I don't know, but it's very taste good. Yeah.
What?
And very big size pancake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some of coffee is very smell is very good. Yeah.
Oh, and you cut your hair. Are you
Yeah.
are you going to the army?
Oh yeah. This is army style. Yeah. Call of Duty.
Oh my god. Cookie borrowed this game from his friend, and I'm just installing it on my Switch as we go. Flat white, hot chocolate. Beef stew. 자, 한번 먹어봐. 이 포크로 스튜를 먹네.
매콤하다.